In startling texts that the U.S. Sun exclusively obtained, teen mom Jenelle Evans' husband, David Eason, admitted to his ex that he still has dreams about her and that he wishes he could go back in time. The texts, which shocked his ex-wife Whitney Rich, showed David yearning for her on her birthday while they were talking about pick-up arrangements for their 16-year-old daughter Marisa. In the messages, which Whitney received on her birthday in May of last year and which have been confirmed to originate from David's cell phone, "You are flawless. Simply said, you deserve so much more than what you've experienced. I'm saddened by it because of this. I consider it a lot. And you are always on my mind in my dreams. I have no idea how I got here as opposed to where I wanted to be. I have no idea how we got here as opposed to where I had intended for US to be." David continued, saying, "I'm just really angry right now. I also wish I could go back in time." Whitney said exclusively to the U.S. Sun that when Jenelle's husband texted her, she was very shocked and surprised. According to Whitney, 35, Marisa had a phone since she was 8 years old, thus they had hardly communicated at all before this interaction. "So all my communication was through her other than maybe a handful of times. It was shocking not to bring up the fact that he remained married. I was and still am married. It was highly unexpected and out of place." David hinted that he and Jenelle had been arguing in the texts. He once texted Whitney and said, "I let you and Marisa down, and to keep you, I ought to have done more. I'm about to lose my family and my little kid once more for no fault of my own." He informed his ex, "I don't see why life is so harsh." Whitney stated to the U.S. Sun, "As far as I can remember at the time, they were about to split up. They had been fighting at the time, and he gave the impression that they were about to break up, but I'm not sure what the argument was about. I am aware that she launched her OnlyFans at about the same time." Whitney continued, "I'm not sure if that has anything to do with Jenelle's content endeavor. She thought David would have tried to arrange a meeting if she had seemed more receptive to his attempts. I'm sure he would have tried to see me, considering what he was saying. This would be the end of a relationship for most people," she stated. "I think when you are with someone and they were married to someone else, or in a long-term relationship with someone else, of course, that is the last person that you want them to be contacting, especially in that manner." Whitney declared, "I would be leaving him if this were my marriage. I would have been really troubled by it and would have become upset. I would be furious. It had been 10 years since our separation and we hadn't communicated. That's a long time to be thinking about or speaking stuff like that. If he felt he could message me in this way, then you also have to wonder if he's messaging other women like this." Additionally, his ex made it quite evident that David was not welcome to approach her in this manner. "I left him in July of 2012, so I don't want him dreaming about me." She went on to say that if she were Jenelle and she slept next to David while he was dreaming about her, it would enrage her. "When they're laying in bed together and he's dreaming about me all the time, that would hurt if I were Jenelle. I'd have to think about that too," she continued. Whitney stated that in all the years they had been apart, they have only had 2 in-person encounters. Whitney and her husband Shane Rich were there for a large portion of the trial when Marisa testified against David and Jenelle during the 2019 CPS inquiry. Then, they crossed paths again during Marisa's 8th grade graduation. Aside from that, the only other times I've seen him are when I was just getting Marisa, and I saw him strolling around in his yard or whatever. And by I've seen him in his yard, I mean that I've seen him strolling around in his backyard. We haven't communicated. I would simply see him strolling around the garden or something like." Marisa's mother continued, "I've never left my car when I've gone to pick her up or put her off. It's the barest of interactions." Whitney recalled that when she initially met Jenelle, Marisa would tell her that her daughter would hear the former Teen Mom star say, "Your mom is so beautiful." Finally, Whitney reported that David got in touch with her once more a few days following the text exchange. Then, 3 days after these texts, he sent me a message saying, "I hope you have a happy Mother's Day, as my birthday falls around Mother's Day every year." And I replied, "Yes, thank you." 2012 saw the end of David and Whitney's 6-year marriage. In 2015, he moved on with Jenelle, and 2 years later, they were married. This occurs subsequent to the involvement of Child Protective Services in Jenelle and David's household once more. Only a few months after the MTV actress gained custody of the teen in March from her mother Barbara, who had raised Jace since he was a toddler, Jenelle's oldest kid, 14-year-old Jace, was placed in CPS custody in late September. Despite claims that David, 35, attacked Jace, entangled her in CPS and Columbus County Sheriff's Department investigations, Jenelle used her social media platforms to advertise fresh material for her OnlyFans page. Following claims that David had abused the celebrity's son Jace towards the end of last month, a law enforcement source confirmed to the U.S. Sun last week that Jenelle and David are the subject of an official criminal investigation. The Columbus County Sheriff's Department and CPS were allegedly both involved in the investigation that was started after Jace made his third attempt at running away. Both the specific charges David might be facing and the possibility of Jenelle being charged with anything in connection with the alleged attack are unknown. In addition, following a special court hearing earlier this month, CPS has extended its probe. As previously reported by the U.S. Sun, during the hearing, a court directed Jenelle to remove her children, Kaiser and Ensley, from their North Carolina house known as The Land and bring them in for interrogation by CPS without the MTV star or her spouse present. A caseworker chastised the teen Mom 2 star towards the conclusion of the meeting for making it difficult for CPS to interview her kids on multiple times in the past. A hearing to address Jace's ongoing care is scheduled for later this month.